Hello and welcome to another beautiful day once again. I'm delighted to have you watching us right now. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and of course, it is that time of the day when we bring you to speed with the headlines for the day. Well, the only lady that has been outnumbered this morning before someone will come and start saying, well, very soon, Ramsey too will be outnumbered. Good morning, Antonia.
Good morning, Ramsey.
Good morning, Christopher.
I actually don't know what is happening within Antonia this morning. There's the excitement.
No, Antonia, I wouldn't want to say something on air.
Her joy is giving me joy.
It's a good thing. I'm spreading love and light.
She's contaminating my joy with her joy.
Yes, joy is contagious. Please take more. Take more.
Remember, you're putting on red.
Yes. You're even in the spirit of red. So.
No, Antonia said she's taking me out today. So.
No, I did not promise that. I didn't say that.
Sorry, it was in my dream.
I did not.
How come you guys are always promising yourselves without including
I did not promise you. I was not the one that appeared in your dream.
Love
Somebody
of attraction.
All right, love of attraction.
That love.
All right, that's going to take us to the headlines that we have for the day. As a matter of fact, the first paper for the day is the Daily Times newspaper, and above the Daily Times newspaper, above the header, I have this headline which says, Aviation stakeholders fret over Arosaye's report, revenue deductions. Aviation stakeholders fret over Arosaye report, revenue deductions. Then the big story on the Daily Times newspaper says, Tribalism, election rigging, bane of leadership in Nigeria, says Jonathan. Well, Jonathan has not spoken for a very long time. It's so good to hear him talk once again. And this statement, I looked at it critically, and I saw that this statement is not just for Nigeria alone, but for the whole of Africa. The details of that you can get on page 2 of the Daily Times newspaper. EFCC blames banks for 70% of financial crimes. Okay. All right. This one said food crisis. Federal government justifies grains donation from Ukraine. The details of that you can get on page 4 of the Daily Times. And I'm going to take this and it will be my last. EFCC arrests 21 trucks smuggling food items across Nigeria's border. The details of that you can also get on page 2 of the Daily Times newspaper. And that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Daily Times newspaper this morning. Let's get to the next paper, which is going to be coming from Antonia.
All right, on the Guardian newspaper, the first headline will be taken. Consumers switch to used gadgets as foreign exchange crisis worsens tech adoption. And below the header, they gave a description, wrote out different gadgets, their specifications, and the price it was sold before and now. So we have for laptops, smartphones, feature phones, smartwatches, smart TVs, and refrigerators. This dollar to naira, the constant fall of the naira, dollar, is telling on a lot of Nigerians.
Very well.
And since we don't produce most of these things, getting them from the price has tripled, not even doubled. And it's so sad to see this. Moving on to the next headline. Reps uncover fraud in seaport concession, summon ministers. The details of that story is on page 28 of the Guardian newspaper. The next headline will be taken. Federal government maintains UAE visa ban on Nigerians' subsidies. The details of that story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And the final headline will be taken from the Guardian newspaper. Sharia Council urges federal government to end hunger and insecurity. And this story is on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. It's so good to see that the Sharia Council is coming out to speak on this matter, because the Tinubu-led government has said a lot, responded in the negative to a lot of comments and criticisms. Exactly. So thank God this is their own, telling them you are not doing well.
I think it's better. Because now you can't say this is politics.
Yes,
you can't say this is an attack. You can't say this is an opposition trying to maybe.
But looking at it from another angle, what if we juxtapose this with Jonathan's comment this morning, what if that comment is coming from the tribalistic angle of
What Jonathan is saying?
yes,
Jonathan's
of
statement.
the what's it called? The Sharia.
Sharia.
Yeah. Maybe what if it is been tribalized? That statement is coming from that tribalistic sentiment against Tinubu.
But everyone has been speaking. It's not just the Sharia
It's
Council,
not just
and they are
the Sharia.
Muslims. Tinubu is a Muslim,
Mus-
so
Tinubu
he's
is a
a
Muslim.
Muslim. The vice president
Shetima
is
is their brother.
Yes,
No,
it's their brother.
well, you know, we have sects of Muslim, sects of Christianity, and all that. Anyway, that is
Let's get to the next
So that
part,
would be
please,
the-
because
yes.
of our time.
all right. From the Daily Trust, tribalism, flawed elections, bane of quality leadership, says Jonathan. You can find that story on page 12 of the Daily Trust. Mixed feeling as Binance exits Nigeria. I think this is very, very unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. It's not. I don't know
I
what
think,
this will do to the system.
I think so many persons will be affected. My joy is that those who invested in it are not losing anything because
No.
it has been
It's a
converted
worldwide.
to dollars for them in Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All right,
And
moving
even-
on.
Okay, yeah.
You can
go
find that
ahead.
story on page 23 of the Daily Trust. Lassa fever kills 13 as measles, Buruli, ulcer hits Benue. Last week, this
I don't know
same
what's
thing. I
happening
don't know
in
what's
Benue.
happening in Benue. I think
They are your neighbors. What's happening?
your neighbors, my neighbors. Anyway, thank God their governor is a reverend father, even though his faculty has been seized because he can't be a reverend father.
And
And
also
being
be a
politics,
governor.
So the church for now sees his faculty until he's done
With his
his,
governorship.
but that doesn't mean that he cannot celebrate mass. It's just that he cannot celebrate public mass. Where he can,
But he can still
he
pray.
can still
He can
celebrate
pray and
mass
do
in his
his
own
house
chapel,
or-
personal
yeah.
chapel.
Yes.
Maybe with 2-3
At the
persons.
government house, there's always a chapel there.
Of course,
But
of
he
course.
can't celebrate in
He
that
can't- he
government
can't- yeah,
house.
he can't-
He
he
can't.
can't-
He can't.
He
Okay.
can't celebrate
In that
public mass in the government house.
Okay, but
this
except in the
context,
city.
In his own personal chapel.
yes, it's more like personal devotion
chapel.
kind of
Okay.
thing.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Repent or leave Kano. Hijba. Okay, Hijba CG tells immoral persons. So he
No,
knows
they have
immoral-
controller general too.
Yes, they have.
That's serious.
So last week or on Monday we discussed about this too. Maybe people should also start paying attention to him to see how moral he is. Anyway, but of course he's doing his work. He's being responsible, taking responsibility of the work, the assignment they have given to him. Nigeria's economy not in distress, says Mr. President. How sure is Mr. President? We are also in this country with him. It may not be in distress in his own environment or
I'm
household.
tempted to ask what part of Nigeria is in.
Aso Rock part of Nigeria.
And Aso Rock is not feeling the heat.
Same Aso Rock where
It's not feeling the
electricity
heat.
bill is being owed.
FG to Israel.
They have to pay. It's
They have to
embarrassing.
pay.
I think
Yes.
he
It's more like
he
a
ordered.
slap
The
on
president
face,
gave
yeah.
an order
Yeah.
immediately
For
that
it
they
to
should be
pay.
paid.
Yeah.
And I'm also happy that same thing went to happen in Ibadan, UI, University of Ibadan.
Ibadan.
Yes, they asked them to, they forced them to pay. FG to Israel, stop war on Gaza. This is serious. Federal government of Nigeria is telling telling Israel to stop the war on Gaza.
Federal
we should
government of
focus.
Nigeria.
Yes, we should also focus
See,
on
please,
ourselves.
please.
We should stop the war.
Too much trouble in Nigeria. Please, nobody should go and draw any other thing.
Nigeria.
Don't add to our problems.
Please don't add. See,
That reminds me of former Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed. You remember he cautioned Israel about 3 years ago.
3
and
years
then we
ago.
told him,
And people were like,
people
hey,
said,
Lai
Lai Mohammed,
Mohammed,
you are on your own.
you are blowing everything
We-
out of proportion. Nobody sent you. I remember the way people came on him that time.
Exactly.
You're on your own.
You're on your own. Israel.
All right, the last one, of course, the bigger story there on Daily Trust is terrorists abduct score of female IDPs in Borno. And the community leader there says they left camp in search of firewood.
Oh.
Only 4 of the 117 returned so far. This is pathetic.
It's pathetic.
IDP being kidnapped
But come
by
on.
terrorists.
So who is going to pay the ransom?
The
Yeah.
government.
You're kidnapping someone from the IDP.
All right, that'll be the size of the newspaper review from the Daily Trust this morning. Over to you, Ramsey.
All right, we are going to be wrapping it up, and that's going to be from the Punch newspaper this morning. As a matter of fact, Baba is speaking again. Obasanjo unveils a new book on leadership at 87th birthday. The details of that you can get on page 45. You know, anytime Baba writes, a whole lot is being revealed. Well,
There is a former president.
former
Obasanjo.
president.
Now, he was
Olusegun
criticized
Obasanjo.
recently that since his kinsman or kinsman became president, he has not written it. I think it was Dino Melaye. It was Dino Melaye who called him out last week that
Dino.
Baba, what is happening in this country now is enough for you to write in it.
Everybody were quiet at a point. Jonathan is just speaking. Then Obasanjo is
too.
writing. He's unveiling
A new book.
a new book. And you know what happens when Baba writes? Okay?
He writes in detail.
He writes in details.
Good thing about him is that I heard rumorsly, I don't know whether true or not, that even while he was president, most of his speeches
Were written.
where he wrote them.
He wrote them himself,
Yes.
unlike other people.
Yes,
That
or
was-
that if they write for him, he takes time to edit it,
To edit it.
to remove, to
No,
subtract.
Baba,
and that is why you will never
He's
see
so
where you
thorough.
cannot floor him when it comes
He's so
to
thorough.
addressing.
No, Baba is very intelligent.
Yeah, he is.
Obasanjo, I'm talking about Obasanjo. When I say Baba, I'm not talking about
Your
former
father.
president or your father at home. Then more still coming from the Punch newspaper this morning, still above the header. Nigeria's electricity fuel subsidies may go up 7 trillion naira, according to IMF. And the details of that you can get on page 30 of the Punch newspaper. Then this one says Army Chief dismisses coup calls, demands good leadership. He's dismissing coup calls. Then he's demanding for good leadership. So in other
You
words,
can join the
if there-
two together.
Yes,
You can
if there's
read
no
in be-
good
you can read in
leadership,
between the lines.
in between the lines.
You can also say he dismisses coup plot,
but then,
but that is but meaning that if you don't want us to strike, give us good leadership.
well,
That is
we
my
are-
own interpretation.
yeah, that's what I wanted to say. But then, sometimes these things even happen without the consent of the army chief. Sometimes it happens and it's not even aware. But we pray for peace in Nigeria. Okay, the details of that you can actually get on page 45 of the Punch newspaper. Then that takes us to the big story for today, which is coming from the Punch newspaper. There is a headline in red: food smuggling. Federal government intercepts 141 grain trucks. Drivers threaten strike over attacks. Then I have just two riders to that story, very long ones. The first rider says, Customs sees 120 smuggled grain trucks. EFCC intercepts 21. Tinubu orders sale of forfeited food. Then the second rider says truck owners threaten to stop transporting food over attacks. Say no insurance for looted foodstuffs. Say no insurance for looted foodstuffs.
I think I love that story before this last one. That's the threatening to stop
transporting food
transporting
over
food.
attacks. Yeah.
I think that would be a blessing in disguise. Let all states go back to farm this coming farming season. Let all the states, irrespective, Kogi has mineral resources, they should go. They should still go back to farming activities. Let all the states engage. Governors should go back. Tell your people, encourage farming. This farming season, this forthcoming farming season, let the federal government, at least each state should, invest about 2 to 3 billion naira into farming activity.
Every allocation, for me, every
Let us see
allocation
how.
should even
Let
go
us see
into
if we are going to
agriculture.
continue to see this kind of
and healthcare.
health again.
Healthcare, agricultural healthcare, because you need to be alive.
There is no
before you
deliberate.
eat.
There is no deliberate policy on. In fact, they should declare state of emergency on
on
agriculture.
agriculture. I think that will be fine.
How can
Like
Nigeria
like
be
Instead of
begging for
importing
food
or
from-
begging for grain
from Ukraine?
from a war-prone country. I don't
Like
know.
the in the time of Obasanjo, when he did declare that Operation Feed the Nation,
Yes.
and even the Green Revolution that has happened in time
Yeah,
past,
exactly.
policies like that should be implemented,
We-
because Nigeria is heading to a state where even the elites would not have food to eat.
every time now it's
So-
about
Yeah,
money
okay.
allocation.
One thing,
left and-
one of the mistakes that I see the government making is this: the government doesn't go to farm. No wonder they are now importing grain from
and
Ukraine.
receiving grain
It
assistance.
is the people, Nigerians, the average Nigerians, the farmers that go to farm, do the farming, then the big men in quote buy agricultural products. If there is no farm at all, you won't even see to buy. A
And
time
they've
will
even
come that
they've stopped
will you
buying
eat your
because
money?
they are
Will
not,
you eat
the farms
cash?
are not secure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
the
secure.
farms are not secure. But
So
will you
why
eat
would I-
money?
why
You're a
would I
big man, you
risk my
have
life?
money, and you are not
Yeah.
investing in agriculture.
It's sad.
Will you eat money?
Let-
You can't eat money.
Let the federal government ask states to donate farmland, and then they should go.
We have enough farmland.
We have. They
have
should
enough.
Go to the west.
Go to
See,
Benue State.
what happened to
Go-
cocoa?
yeah, go-
What happened to the food basket of the nation, where the headsmen are no longer allowed?
There must
to
be
go
a
to farm?
deliberate and assertive policies on agriculture. We must go back to farm.
All right, finally from the Punch newspaper this morning, 767 manufacturers shut down in 2023, and this is coming from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. You know how bad that is, meaning businesses are shutting down because of the nature of Nigeria's
we say-
economy.
we-
Some persons are leaving. Okay, Binance
It means by the implication now is that we have more items to import.
to import.
As they are shutting down those things that they are not producing any longer,
You
We
need
have
to
to
import them.
And by that, you are buying with dollar.
We are buying
And
with
you want
dollars.
dollar to crash, it won't crash. Prayer, I saw a pastor saying that, asking his congregation to pray that he trusts that dollar is going to crash between the next 1 week. And I say,
One week,
remember,
he's
it's
given a
it's
timeline.
not by prayer.
No, you can actually pray and trust God for what will
And
happen.
do the work.
And do the work, because even faith without work,
Is
Ora,
dead.
ora pro labore. Pray and work.
pray and work.
St. Augustine will tell you, God will not do for you what he has given you
Well,
power
you're
to
taking
do for yourself.
you're taking
He's
us.
taking us to the church.
You want to do mass. All right, this is going to be the size of the review from the different papers this morning. What you will do is get to the vendor, pick any of these papers that catches your fancy, and go through them for yourself. We want to go on break. After this break, we will return with the big story.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleke TV. Visit our website at www.oweleke.tv for a thrilling journey. Oweleke TV, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back from the break. It's so good to still have you right there. One of the best things that you've done this morning is staying very close to your screen, and being part of Outnumbered today is a great thing. Well, let's bring you to speed with the big story that we have for the day. The Daily Times newspaper, the big headlines there says, Tribalism, election rigging, bane of leadership in Nigeria, says Jonathan. That is the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He has said this, and of course, when I saw this, I was like, hey, this may not just be Nigeria alone, because a whole lot is happening in Africa. Tribalism. It's either, see, one of the things people use as a propaganda or a tool for campaign most times during election is tribalism. I saw someone, okay, in my own compound, there were these people that don't like a particular party and a particular individual. They know that the individual doesn't have capacity, but then because that person is from their tribe, they threw everything, all the support to the person. And today, a lot of them are regretting, even though they can't say it out. Tribalism, then election rigging. I'm always citing examples. I was in a car a few days ago. No, not in a car. I was at a restaurant and some young men were saying, well, the kind of effort we put in during the 2023 election is massive. Could you believe that someone traveled all the way across so many distances, across so many states just to vote? But then at the end of the day, their vote never counted. Some people brought their generator because it was night, and he was saying a whole lot. But at the end of the day, what happened? Allegedly, he said the election was being rigged. I have to use the word allegedly because some persons may not have facts to that. Maybe, but then everyone can see the handwriting on the wall. And this morning, Jonathan, you know who Jonathan is? Jonathan's reputation is not just in Nigeria. Any election, he's been an observer, all right? He's been an observer in several elections in Africa. And he has been called to be part of so many meetings, conferences that has to do with fairness and free and fair election, yeah? And this morning, he's speaking once again to say tribalism, election rigging is the bane of leadership in Nigeria. Well, we'll add our voice to the conversation this morning. Christopher, your president, your past president, is speaking now. After several years, after like a very long time, okay? After a very long time. What would you have to say about this? He said tribalism and election rigging is the bane of leadership in Nigeria. Is it true or false?
Let me start with
true. Let me
start with the election rigging. You I don't know how to paint truth. I don't know how to paint the truth. You may want to say, okay, one should be objective in his criticism. But in this country, in this last election, I am telling you that even INEC knows that that election was rigged.
Okay, even Mahmoud is aware.
INEC is aware that that election was rigged.
Why do you say so?
Yes, because there was no vote apathy, but there was crash down of votes in some states. In Lagos State,
okay,
election, though Peter Obi won in Lagos State, but that was not the figure with which he won that election in Lagos State. In Port Harcourt, INEC officials that were interviewed told us that Obi scored about 1.4 million. But the total votes that came out from Rivers State was 400 votes.
Probably a man who was there.
Somebody was crashed.
He wanted an appointment.
Allegedly, the wreck of Rivers State was locked in a room
while the election was going.
No, it was locked because his intention was to declare the election the way it was. But he was threatened, locked and threatened. If you want to live here with your life, you better do what I asked you to do. In Jos, who doesn't know that? We won in Jos with 1.7 million votes. Election was rigged, and that is why you see year by year you see that the total number of vote cast by Nigerians to declare or to bring forth to declare a president winner is always going down every year by year. 2015, it was with about 60 million votes that Buhari won the election. His second tenure crashed down. Tinubu's first election tenure down crashed to 8,000, and we are 200 and something million Nigerians with 1.6 to 1.9 million voter registered.
In other words, you're trying to say the figures were being crashed down,
yes,
so that they can make someone,
of course,
win,
to declare somebody winner
of the election from the various states,
and even down to the Supreme Court, from tribunal to appeal to Supreme Court. Look at was it not based on technicalities? What do you call technicalities? They were already facts, and you are saying technicalities crashed down because of technicalities. Who brought that word technicalities? Anyway, that is for the aspect of rigging, tribalism. Let us go to tribalism. Now, during Buhari's 8 years as president of this country, the North kept quiet. Why are they the ones crying louder than any other part of this country?
But that is how it happens. You know, the West, the West, the South, they were also crying and during Buhari's regime, especially for appointments.
Yes,
appointments.
But the North was quiet.
They were very quiet. They were very quiet
Now,
because they had, in fact, let me not say, but they had the majority of the appointments.
Now, even some parts of the West, though you know the West are educated people, some of them are still giving it back to Tinubu's administration. The likes of Falana, for instance, that may not be because he is a Yoruba man, but because he's an intelligent and objective person, you know, and some other persons too. So when you look at it very well, you see that just like the scenario you gave us about the people that said that they came to they came out to vote, nobody voted, and it didn't count. So many persons came out to vote, but the truth of the matter is that the tribalism took over the affair of the election to the extent that the whole of the West in this last election voted for, including Oyo State, that is a PDP state. Atiku didn't win in Oyo State. You understand? That is because.
Are you sure it's not because of the faction issue?
No, not at all. Not at all. You know,
PDP had a faction, and there was a problem in PDP.
But was that enough reason for them not to vote for their own candidate? It was mainly because a Yoruba man was the sole candidate of a political party. That was why, regardless of your political, if Osun, Ondo, all those states, Tinubu won. And for me, that is what is happening. And so until this is fixed, until these two things are fixed, apart from that, also politically correct. Some persons invested their money with the sole aim of having appointment after election.
It's common in the Nigerian
not necessarily
system,
because the person they are supporting has leadership qualities.
But they just needed to be part of the administration.
So I'm happy.
They need appointments. They need to be relevant.
Yeah.
There was a video that was going around that time where a governor of a state in a conversation with an aspirant saying, well, I'm going to do this. If this happened, will you make me relevant? And today, we can see what is happening. Okay, even though the person was in a different party. So over to you, Antonia. What do you make of this statement coming from, should I call him?
The former president of Nigeria.
I wanted to use an adjective to qualify his
You also use Baba again.
No, he's not Baba. He's not Baba. He's a young man. Okay, I wanted to use something concerning his reputation.
60 now.
Well, I think.
But if you are to compare him with
Obasanjo, Buhari, I think he's the youngest president that we've had in recent time. All right, over to you, Anthony.
Okay, so former President Jonathan's statement is actually what has been eating Nigeria. Do you understand? These issues he highlighted, tribalism. Everyone wants a situation where my brother is here. And because of that, once your interest is fixed on something, you do everything you can to make sure that that succeeds. So first of all, I have my brother, because this person is from my state, I would want to support that person. Okay, what's in there for me? What will be my benefit? Like you mentioned, will you make me relevant? If you've promised to make me relevant, I would try to surmount all odds. I'll try to do the unthinkable to make sure that you emerge. So that's what has been the problem of Nigerian politicians.
Exactly.
They put their personal interest first.
Yes.
They put the interest of their statesman, their tribal person, or someone from their ethnic group or religious group first. And because that comes first, serving the people does not come first. They employ different means, bring in thugs to steal ballot boxes and lock up people, threaten people, kill, injure people to make sure that this. And when this continues to happen, how do you expect someone who got into a position not by merit? Some of these people may not even have the intellectual capacity to handle governing a state or making policies that would actually work. So how do you think that person going through these dubious means to get a position would now have the people's interest at heart?
It should be obvious that the person is being selfish.
Yes, how would that person have the interest of people at heart? And when people comment, they would they'll tie it to a particular sentiment.
Remember NSAS? Everybody was against the brutality of the SARS.
Yeah.
Across the nation.
Yes.
But while some part of North Central and the West, people were protesting, the North kept quiet, absolute quietness. And then all of a sudden, they now use some persons to start causing problem in Abuja, and then it metamorphosed into
if not because of the kind of system that we have. SARS is a very, very, very good setup. That is a special anti-robbery squad.
Yeah.
You know,
it's the same tribalism that made them to bring to what's it called? The former SARS Oga Patapata Kyari.
Abba
Kyari. He's still in the prison. He's still in the prison.
That's why we said nemesis is not something that it may not be immediate, but then one day it will come. And that's the reason we have to be careful. This is going to be the size of the big story for today. But before we go, I would like every Nigerian to know this. We're talking about tribalism and election rigging right now. You, who is an average Nigerian, who have supported somebody because the person is from your tribe, even though you know the person is not capable. Right now, the rain is falling. It's falling on everyone's house. And anytime that it rains, know that nobody's house will be exempted.
And the umbrella is not enough.
And the umbrella wouldn't be enough. The umbrella cannot be enough. So that's the reason we have to be very, very wise.
And the broom is not strong to sweep.
The broom is not strong to sweep the rigging anymore. And most of this rigging, the big men don't come out to rig. They use the average Nigerians. They use the youth. You should shun rigging. Don't allow anyone to use you for anything that has to do with corruption. Election has not come. We're still waiting for 2027. All right. But then you need to have this consciousness and this mentality that election, leadership, governance is not all about tribalism and accepting to be used for rigging processes. Well, I want to say a very big thank you to you, Antonia, for adding your voice to this conversation. And of course, Christopher, thank you for being part of the conversation today. And every viewer, I want to say a very big thank you to you. Do everything possible to make sure you always go to the channel to watch every of our programs. Oweleketv is the name of the channel. If you've not subscribed to it, quickly do that and turn on the notification button so that you will be the first to be notified when informative, educative, and of course, entertaining programs come up on the channel. My name is Ramsey Enoch. We will see you again. Bye-bye for now.